I don't want to do this, man.
A quiet teenage boy named Calvin Cetley lives in the suburbs of Oklahoma with his mother Sharon. He spends most of his time reading and studying, which helps him do very well in school. At school, Cal keeps to himself and doesn't have many friends. The only ones close to him are his neighbor Lule, who he grew up with, and his nerdy classmate Donald, who is even worse at making friends than Cal. Even though Cal is very close to his caring mother, he still feels the need for a father figure in his life. When Cal was still a toddler, his father Mac, a famous wrestling champion, died in a tragic car accident. Because of that, Cal never really had the chance to know his father. Even though he doesn't remember much, Cal knows that his family has never truly recovered from this loss. Cal's older brother Mike, who followed in their father's footsteps and became a wrestling champion for many years, was deeply affected by their father's death. Mike and his father used to do everything together, from training and planning to controlling their diet. In the years that followed, time didn't heal Mike's pain. Instead, it made him worse. Because of this, Mike often argued with Sharon, who was also heartbroken but still tried to stay strong for the family. Eventually, Mike left home and was never seen or heard from again. Even though she was heartbroken after losing both her husband and her son, Sharon had too many responsibilities and decided to let Mike go. She hoped that time would help them heal and that they would reunite someday. As time passes, Cal learns from everything around him and grows into a thoughtful and responsible young man who prefers books over people. This turns out to be good for him. When he was in middle school, Cal won a geology competition. Instead of wasting the prize money like most kids his age, Cal uses it to start a catfish farm. It quickly becomes successful and helps support both him and his mother, who is very proud of him. One day, while fishing at a nearby lake and thinking about how to fix his broken water pump, Cal is attacked by a school bully named Billy Marrow. When Cal tries to fight back, Billy gets angry, pushes him to the ground, and runs away. As Cal takes care of his injuries, he meets an old fisherman named Red, who seems to appear out of nowhere. Red praises his courage and tells him to always believe in himself and stand up for himself. Later, Cal goes back home and treats his bruises. As usual, when he feels sad, Cal opens his memory box. He looks at old photos of his father and the accident report, wondering if his life would have been different if his father had been there. When Cal notices his mother has come home from work, he quickly hides everything in the box. He doesn't want her to see his pain, so he rushes out to greet her like nothing happened. As they hug, Sharon is shocked to see his injuries, but Cal tells her it was just an accident and says he's fine. Meanwhile, in another area called Muskogee, someone working on an oil rig receives bad news. In the following days, the more Cal thinks about his brother Mike and his late father, the more he misses them. He begins to strongly wish he could connect with them somehow. So, he starts looking for a way to make that connection. After thinking deeply for a long time, Cal finds the answer: wrestling. But knowing what his mother has been through, and that she hates wrestling, Cal decides to keep this idea a secret. For the next few weeks, Cal tells his mother he has after-school activities. He goes to the gym, but instead of joining right away, he quietly watches and studies the wrestling practices. Cal later tells Lule about his new interest. She has always liked him, and he is happy to have her support. One day, Cal decides it's time to stop watching and finally step onto the mat himself. The coach picks Billy to train with Cal and tells him to go easy and teach the new kid. But instead, Billy uses this chance to attack Cal and beats him badly until the coach steps in to stop it. That night at dinner, Cal can't lie anymore. He tells his mother that he has started wrestling and is now dieting to stay at 135 pounds. After hearing this, Sharon understands that Cal wants to feel closer to his father and Mike through wrestling, but she is still very afraid because she has seen how it affected both of them. Sharon reminds Cal that he hasn't seen Mike in almost 10 years. She says he doesn't really know his brother anymore and warns him not to believe that Mike can help him reconnect with their father. Why does Sharon feel this way about Mike? Cal thinks about what his mother said, but finds it hard to accept. A few days later, hoping his mother is wrong, Cal looks for Mike's address. After finding it, he decides to go visit him. One afternoon, Cal tells his mother he will stay at Donald's house, then leaves home. He then takes a bus to Muskogee. On the way, he wonders what it will be like to see his brother after all these years, his mind filled with questions. Cal arrives at the bus stop before finding any answers and begins walking around Muskogee, trying to find Mike's house. He knocks on the door, is let in by one of Mike's friends, and slowly walks inside. Inside, things do not go as Cal expected at all. Mike is surprised to see his younger brother, but that is all. There is no other emotion on Mike's face as he calmly asks Cal what he is doing there. He speaks as if Cal were just someone he sees every day. Cal takes it all in, but instead of getting upset, he gives Mike the benefit of the doubt and thinks this sudden reunion must be hard for him too. After a short and awkward greeting, Cal tells Mike he has joined the wrestling team and asks for his help. Cal is shocked and deeply hurt by the answer, but he tries to stay calm. He tells himself Mike might just be busy, accepts it, and hopes they can still rebuild their relationship. Heartbroken, Cal slowly leaves the house and heads home, thinking his mother might have been right. Meanwhile, Mike, also heartbroken because he feels he has nothing to offer his younger brother, sits on the couch for hours, thinking about his life and who he has become. Elsewhere, worried about her youngest son, Sharon goes to the school and talks to the coach. Knowing what she has been through, the coach comforts her. He advises her not to pull Cal out of the team and promises to look after him. On the other side of town, still hurt after meeting Mike, Cal goes to the lake to clear his mind, meets Red, and tells him what's bothering him. A few days later, at a high school wrestling match, a 135-pound Riverdale wrestler gets injured, and Cal panics. Because of this, Cal calls Mike at home, but only reaches his girlfriend. He begs her to tell Mike that he will be competing this coming Friday. Cal desperately waits to hear from Mike before the weekends, but Friday comes with no response. On Friday, during weigh-in at the gym, Cal feels scared when he sees his opponent and begins to doubt his decision to join the team. Meanwhile, although Sharon is against Cal's new interest, she still decides to support him and goes to the school. On her way to the gym, she passes the school's wall of fame, sees Mike's name, achievements, and trophies, and stops for a few minutes, thinking nostalgically about her first son. During the match, to Sharon and Luli's horror, just as Cal feared, he is brutally beaten by his opponent and loses. After realizing how difficult wrestling is, Cal considers quitting, but cannot, because he is the only 135-pound wrestler on the team. In the next matches, Cal continues to be badly beaten and humiliated on the mat. Meanwhile, in Muskogee, now jobless and without direction, Mike goes to a local bar one afternoon to kill time. However, there, an aggressive man starts an argument and hits him, and Mike fights back and defends himself. Unfortunately, the authorities do not fully examine the situation, and Mike is arrested and sent to jail. Elsewhere, hoping to get some perspective, Cal asks Donald for his opinion about his wrestling. Donald bluntly tells him that he is officially a wrestler, but one of the worst in the region. As they leave school, they run into Billy, who mocks Mike's downfall in front of everyone and shows them a newspaper about Mike's arrest. A 28-year-old man was arrested on charges of major assault. Stressed by what he learns, Cal goes to the lake to fish and clear his mind. There, he meets Red. After hearing what is on his mind, gives him advice. Inspired by this, Cal wakes up early the next morning, goes to Luli's house to borrow her scooter, and lies to his mother, saying he needs to go to school early, then speeds to the courthouse in Muskogee. There, Mike's lawyer explains the situation and asks the court for probation on Mike's behalf. As the judge prepares to decide Mike's case, Cal asks to speak on behalf of his brother. Mike is deeply touched by Cal's gesture, and afterward, the brothers go to Mike's house to talk and reconnect. Wanting to make up for lost time, Mike agrees to Cal's request and decides to teach him wrestling. Meanwhile, after not hearing from Cal all day, a worried Sharon goes to the school gym to check on him and becomes very concerned when she realizes he is not there. Out of desperation, Sharon reaches out to Lule for information, but once again, she gets no answers. Later, Cal returns home and lies to his worried mother, saying he was out with friends. After missing weeks of practice, which caused the team to forfeit a match in his weight class, Cal returns to the school gym and prepares to rejoin practice. Mike and Cal begin training together and work intensely over the next few weeks. As they spend more time training together, they get to know each other better and begin to enjoy each other's company. With his passion reignited, Cal follows Mike's instructions closely and fully dedicates himself to learning every aspect of the sport. Seeing that Mike still hasn't found a job, Cal tries to help him get one through his geology class, which Mike deeply appreciates. Which one is the older brother again? Mike continues training Cal as hard as he can, and when the next match arrives, Cal invites Mike to attend the game so he can see what he has learned. Taken aback by the unexpected request, Mike pauses before answering, and Cal explains that he is not ready to face their mother or the locals. He fears they will ask him about what he has been doing since his high school days, and he has no answer to give. On match day, just as Mike taught him, Cal confidently stares down his opponent during weigh-in. He then finds a quiet corner of the gym, listens to his favorite music, and mentally prepares himself for the match. Then, as Donald, Lule, and Sharon watch in anticipation, the match begins. Now stronger than ever, Cal steps onto the mat and, using everything he has learned from his brother, wins the match convincingly. Unbeknownst to everyone, unable to stay away, Mike quietly shows up at the gym, hides in the hallway, and watches the match from afar, feeling deeply proud of Cal's achievement. On the other side of the gym, Red also shows up to watch Cal, and sits quietly among the crowd, cheering him on with pride and joy. Meanwhile, hoping to stay hidden, Mike leaves the gym before the match ends as the crowd begins to disperse. As he walks out, he is reminded of the halls of his old high school, filled with memories of his past achievements. In the following weeks, Cal keeps winning impressively, and Mike continues secretly showing up at each match. Seeing how much Cal is improving, Mike starts making bigger plans for him. A few weeks later, as the school dance approaches and everyone prepares excitedly, Lule asks Cal to take her to the dance, and he agrees. At home, although she attends all of Cal's matches, Sharon feels their relationship is becoming strained, so she reaches out to reassure him that she is always supporting him. Cal understands his mother's concerns and reassures her that he is happy. However, not wanting to worry his mother further, Cal hides the fact that he has been training with Mike. Then one day, Mike introduces Cal to a wrestler named Theo Nat Henderson, who joins their training team. In the next few weeks, Cal trains intensely with them, follows his diet strictly, and shows noticeable improvement in strength. On the day of the dance, knowing Luli lives with her father and 4 brothers, and wanting to give her some quality girl time, Sharon invites her over, helps her with her makeup and hair, and gives her motherly advice. Elsewhere, during training, Nat pulls Mike aside to check on how he is doing and how he is handling everything. Nat advises him to keep working hard, stay out of trouble, and overcome his inner struggles to become the man he once was, for the sake of his younger brother who looks up to him. Then Mike, proud of Cal's progress, decides to teach him the difficult reverse cradle move, which excites Cal, and they spend a couple of hours practicing it. Later that night, Cal goes to the dance with Luli. Just as they begin enjoying themselves, Billy approaches Luli and verbally harasses her. Despite Luli's attempt to defend herself, Cal steps in and easily pushes Billy to the ground. Oh, how the tables have turned. Lul and Cal leave the school and walk around town, talking about what happened that night. Cal assures Lul that he will always be there for her, and they begin a relationship. Meanwhile, in Muskogee, after weeks of hard work, Mike decides to go to a local bar to get some beer. However, moments later, he remembers the trouble he got into last time and the promise he made to the judge and himself, so without taking a sip, he pays and leaves. As soon as Mike steps outside, a group of men holding a grudge for the earlier fight surround him. Mike tries to calm the situation to avoid violating his parole, but fails. The men attack him, and Mike is forced to defend himself, fighting back and taking down a couple of them before being knocked out. The next evening, Cal goes to Muskogee to train with Mike, but is confused when Mike is nowhere to be found. However, Cal assumes Mike is busy, trains alone for a couple of hours, and then goes home. When Cal walks in, he freezes in shock as he hears Sharon arguing with Mike on the phone. As the argument escalates, Cal defends Mike and assures Sharon that he would never let him down. He insists Mike was set up and could not have been drunk, as he hasn't had alcohol in a month. To Sharon's horror, Cal reveals that Mike has been teaching him wrestling and is the reason for his success. What are you afraid of, Sharon? Meanwhile, Mike sits in jail, blaming his bad luck and wondering why trouble always finds him. Cal and Sharon spend the next few hours in different parts of the house, both trying to calm down after the argument. After thinking about everything carefully, even though he is too young to remember the accident clearly, Cal believes that all the pain and anger in the family comes from that incident, so he decides to talk to his mother. Sharon becomes emotional when hearing about her late husband, but gathers courage and explains that Mac was Mike's trainer, and they did everything together. One day, about a decade ago, as Mike and Mac prepared for a match, Mac agreed to Mike's suggestion to drive to the next town to scout their opponent so they could prepare better. Despite Mac's hesitation and Sharon's pleas, they drove in the snow, lost control of the car, and Mike was thrown out while Mac died inside. Man, that's a lot of guilt to carry for one man. After hearing the story, Cal finally begins to understand the broken pieces of his family. He sympathizes with his mother, who has never fully recovered, but most of all he feels for Mike, who has lived with guilt and grief for years, and begins to understand his brother's behavior. A few days later, Cal's team prepares and heads to Tulsa with their coach to compete in regionals. Meanwhile, Sharon is still thinking about Cal's words and decides to help Mike by giving him the benefit of the doubt. She tracks down witnesses from the bar and confirms that Mike was sober and set up by his attackers. She then speaks with the DA's office and Mike's parole officer to arrange a deal for his case.
I want my son back.
In Tulsa, Cal is accompanied by Donald and Lulu, who cheer him on, and he wins all his matches and reaches the semifinals. However, with his brother's situation on his mind, Cal cannot celebrate and leaves early to return home. Elsewhere, in Muskogee, after getting Mike released from prison, Sharon drives him home and steps inside his shabby house. She is devastated to see the cold, empty place he has been living in. Then she suddenly realizes that all Cal ever wanted was to bring the family together. Sharon steps forward and speaks from her heart. Seeing Mike listen closely to every word, Sharon feels deeply for her son and lovingly embraces and comforts him for the first time since the tragedy. That night, when Cal gets home, he rushes to his mother to ask about Mike's case and is relieved to hear that his brother has been released. Then, after hearing about Cal's success at regionals, Sharon surprises him by encouraging him to continue wrestling. The next day at regionals, amid the crowd and chaos of the gym, Cal goes to a quiet corner and tries to calm himself like he always does before a match. However, instead of motivating him, the quiet moment makes Cal realize he never truly cared about wrestling, and that his journey was about something greater than winning matches. It was about healing his broken family. With Sharon and Mike not there, Cal feels like a failure and questions why he is preparing for a semi-final match when he failed at the most important fight of all, his family. Cal grabs his things and leaves the arena, but is surprised to run into Red, who has come to watch him. Seeing how Red always shows up at important moments like a guardian angel, Cal is inspired to continue and goes to the bathroom to wash his face and calm his fears. As Cal returns to the match and looks into the stands for his mother and Mike, he sees Sharon with his friends and feels relieved, but is devastated that Mike is not there. Cal is filled with countless questions. Where is Mike? How can he miss the biggest match of his life? Did the past few weeks mean nothing? What could he have done differently to bring the family together? Cal struggles with these thoughts and becomes distracted, which shows in his performance as he is badly beaten in the first period. As the match continues, he looks up and is surprised to see Mike walking into the gym, proudly wearing his team's colors and sitting down to watch. This gives Cal the push he needs, and to everyone's delight, he overpowers his opponent and wins the match. During the break before the final is announced, Mike rushes to Cal and proudly congratulates him with the coach. Mike advises Cal to stay focused and give it everything he has as the final approaches. He leaves Cal alone with his music so he can calm himself and prepare mentally for the biggest match of his life. Mike and Sharon meet and talk about the match. As they head back inside, Lul approaches Mike with a large gift box and asks him to give it to Cal before the match. Mike takes the box to the locker and gives it to Cal, who opens it and is touched to find a small pump and a personalized robe. A few minutes later, when his name is called, Cal wears his robe and is proudly escorted to the match with Mike and Nat, making a strong entrance with Donald's support. As he prepares to step onto the mat, Cal notices Mike greeting Red from afar and is shocked to realize they know each other. As the final begins, Mike sits next to the coach and is welcomed over the paw system. Cal gives everything he has, and the crowd watches nervously, holding their breath with every move. After a brutal match, Cal's opponent wins by decision, and Cal loses the title. However, for Cal, he is already a winner because he finally has a united family. It seems some victories are about the journey, not the result. As Mike joins his family in the stands, he receives a standing ovation from the crowd, who respectfully acknowledge his contribution to wrestling. Mike is deeply touched by the gesture and takes it all in. Moments later, to everyone's surprise, Billy congratulates Cal on his achievement, and Cal accepts it with true sportsmanship.